Joined remotely from Birmingham in the United Kingdom by Sunday Dare, Nigeria's Minister of Sports. Congratulations, of course, would be in order. What that means then would be that Nigeria actually did everything that it needed to do to ensure this victory. Well, 13th on the medals table, 1 gold, 1 silver. How much of a performance is that for Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Arise. I think that's the highest performance, an excellent performance. First, on behalf of the athletes, especially Tobi Amusan, who, of course, very inspirational, very committed. We've seen her as a very consummate athlete. We've seen her trajectory in the last five years, a progression that is unbeatable, a progression that is consistent, and the fact that it has come to this point, the world record holder, is just amazing, putting Nigeria on the global map of track and field, especially the 100 meters women hurdles.
It was refreshing to see a victory for Nigeria on the world stage in the midst of gloom in the country. But Minister, I mean, she's just 5'1", not so much of height, but a lot of speed. And we've had some criticism come when it comes to timing. Well, 4-time Olympic gold medalist Johnson is questioning the accuracy of the timing for the athletes. I wonder what you have to say to that.
Well, the World Championships, it has a record. It has a tradition of excellence, of precision and consistency. So I wouldn't take the Twitter message of a single individual as being valid. We have quite a number of experts. You have equipment at the point of precision. At the World Championships, we've seen a track record of what they have done over time. And I think that I'll stay with that. We will take the gold. We'll take the world champ. We'll take the records we have smashed by Tobi. And that's what's important right now. Because you've seen the consistency in our performance, consistently. You've also seen those that ran with her give testimonies about Tobi's professionalism and skills. So we have no doubt. And I think for us, we look beyond that. We're going to set our eyes on greater heights, on greater performances as she comes towards the Commonwealth in a few days, alongside Ese Brume, our relay team, and several of our athletes who have worked really hard in the past years to get to this point.
Indeed, we want all the gold, as much gold as we can, rally. But let's take you back to the glorious days when we used to have the Chidimos of this world and all the Ebunikes and what have you. And like you said, yes, her consistent performance, excellent and all of that. But how can we bring back the glory days? What exactly do you have in store in terms of strategy and planning to ensure that Nigeria's athletics, goes back to the glory days?
Well, thank you very much. I think what happened is for a while, we departed from that pipeline of finding these talents very young, developing them, giving them a gestation period over time, and then just, unleashing them on the world stage. We've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen a deliberate effort of finding these talents very young and also working with them, especially at the federation level. You'll recall that when we went to Kenya, Nairobi for the Junior World Championship, we ended up with 7 medals, 4 gold medals, unprecedented, the best performance ever. That came from the rack and file of the very young talent, some of them found in the villages of the South and also parts of other parts of the country. Now, some of these have also been now taken to the World Championship for the very first time. So what is going to be important is this. As the older generation eases out, we have a sizable number of younger ones that are already taken over. Look at the 4x100 meters women relay, unprecedented. From the last position to get to the World Championship, 16th position, they went out there, they came 12th. From 12th position, they came 4th, running alongside several other athletes who have been there, who are seniors, have been there 2 or 3 times. This is the future of our sports. And I think we've seen the lessons learned here is we must find them early, we must work with them, we must keep them on the Nigerian team, and then we can get a production with desire from them.
And Minister, the world attention will shift from Oregon to Birmingham, where you are for the Commonwealth Games. How prepared are we? Definitely a lot of attention will now move and be on the likes of Tobi Amusan, Ese Brume, and our other athletes. But how prepared are we?
Well, nothing better speaks to our preparedness than the outcomes we have seen at Oregon at various levels. Even some of our performances that did not hit the podium level, we saw great improvement. The shot putters, both in track and field, that signpost the future of our track and field, but also signpost what we should expect at the Commonwealth. I believe that these young ones, we're glad that there are no injuries at this point. We pray that there will be no injuries at all. The spirit of Oregon will lead them on to the tracks and the field of Commonwealth to be able to achieve podium performance. And we believe that as they compete against others from around the world, the Nigerian spirit will surely triumph.
I'm so glad you talked about the Nigerian spirit, and that's the spirit that we want to continue to lead us, spirit of excellence. Now, let's talk about, there have been concerns and complaints about lack of adequate preparations, both in the case of Tobi Amusan. We hear that not enough prepping, not much camping, just barely 4 days. What are you doing to ensure that, camping really happens so that we can predict this, victories and all of that? And what are your expectations from the Commonwealth at Birmingham?
My experience, a lot of things come in play when you talk about getting podium performance. It's not just camping. You must also watch very closely not to burn out the athletes. You talk about camping, you talk about competitions, you talk about nutrition, you talk about rest period. A lot of things come into play. Some of it very scientific. So it goes beyond camping. You could have camping for 50 days, for 10 weeks, and yet not get podium performance. So we worked in concert with our athletes, look at our programs, talk with their coaches, their technical advisors. And I think that what's important is that the performance and the output that we get out there. So we've been able to work with all of those, the handlers. And that's why the camping we had, don't also forget, back-to-back, the national trials. Some of them had some other competitions. We just had to manage it to make sure that we don't also tie them down, because competitions matter. That's what really sharpened their skills. When they're in camp, they're just basically in camp training every day. With one another, that doesn't bring out the very sharp competition you want out of them. But then when you allow them to compete, and when they compete, they get out of camp. So we know there's a place for camping, but several other factors connected play a key role in getting them to podium performance.
And Minister, let's talk about welfare. Yes, they can train, but how do you boost their morale when we have issues of non-payment of allowances, and their welfare is always controversial at events? In recent times, we've seen those protests. So what is the level of welfare and morale of these athletes going to Birmingham? Have you paid the allowances?
Well, for the record, there's been no protest of our allowances. And so I think we should not kind of just, put that on the front burner when it's not really happened. The allowances of our athletes are critical. We prepare for them. From Oregon, they've been paid the allowances. That's definite. For Commonwealth, we've had our approvals. Our accounts department is working on making sure that we pay them. Commonwealth has not even started. I just got here a couple of hours ago, and we've been working in concert with the relevant authorities, both the CBN and etc., to get things together. Also recall, let me also say this, about 2.5 years ago, we started the Adopt an Athlete initiative. That's an initiative that delivered for 38 of our athletes close to $1 million. And Tobi Amusan was one of the beneficiaries of the Adopt an Athlete for foreign-based. Ese Brume was one of the beneficiaries, and quite a number of others. Now, you see, that also played a role. Several other things played a role. The discipline of the athlete, the consistency, the exposure, the training, but also the fact that we're able to get directly to our athletes for the very first time, $10,000, $20,000 directly into their account, played a critical role for grants they need for their education, for grants they need for nutritionists, for money they need to pay their coaches and technical handlers. It played a key role. And we think that we're going to try to make sure we continue in this tradition of getting support, because government alone cannot do it.
Absolutely. Sunday Dare, Nigeria Sports Minister, thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Arise, for having me tonight.